gentlemen, Christine Simpson here with Young PR Pros, and I'm sitting with Martin Waxman. Hi.
Hi, Christine. Great to see you.
Great to see you too. So today you were talking about the social media barometer. So this is the title of your presentation. I've heard it many times. I really enjoy your presentation. How much, in a quick snapshot, can you give us a little overview?
So social media barometer is it's a presentation that's geared for communicators, and it takes a look at our communications landscape, how it's evolving, what's changing, what's new, what some of the challenges, issues are, what the trends are, and tries to put it together in a context that makes sense for communicators and gives them actionable strategies.
So one of the things that you were talking about in your presentation is the importance of being able to create content.
Yes.
And for our audience, so the young professionals that are getting into the industry right now, what are some of the tips that you can give to a young professional about creating good content and telling a story?
You know, it's really interesting that you asked that question, because I was also at Counselors Academy conference just yesterday, and I did an Ignite type talk on that subject. So these are like 5 minutes with 20 slides. They keep going, so you have to keep it moving. And the title of that was We're All in Showbiz. I think really what we need to do is we need to think of ourselves as being more in show business. So we need to think about our stories, how to create stories that engage people, that entertain them, that inform them, that make them laugh, that really bring out some sort of emotional reaction. And I think 3 or 4 ways that we can do that is, one, I said learn to juggle. And by learning to juggle, I mean that literally and figuratively. So if you've never produced a video, take your smartphone, shoot a video, edit it. Don't just shoot it, edit it, upload it, and try to see if you can engage anyone. You know, and then learn from that so you can do it again. The second thing is join the circus. So learn to juggle, join the circus, and I don't mean going back to the days of P.T. Barnum and hucksterish publicity, but what I do mean is adding that element of show to all the different things we do, so that we think of an event, for example, as maybe live performance or live theater. You know, how do we make it, again, exciting, have a beginning, middle, and end? Ebooks, which a lot of companies do, they're so boring. You know, how do we attach a narrative structure to it that makes people actually want to read them and provide value? So that's the second thing. And the third thing is something that Lee Oden, who is an SEO strategist, says, and that's think series, not one-off. We're so programmed to think of, here's the announcement, here's the news. One time, let's get it out there, that's our chance. It's a real shift in mindset to think, okay, here's the news, we're going to announce it this way. What happens in a month? What happens in 2 months, 3 months? How do we build and sustain that story over time and keep people excited about it and interested in it? Because, you know, social media is for the long term.
So one of the things that you said at the end of your conversation was to bring millennials to the forefront of PR and communications and in social media strategies. And of course, you know, my little head perked up because, you know, it's great to hear that coming from a young professional. Why should millennials step forward nowadays?
Well, one, because it's your turn. But aside from that, I think our world is changing so rapidly, and I think people of a certain generation, probably my generation and a generation a bit younger than me, you tend to get complacent, you tend to get used to doing things a certain way, and you tend to think, well, this is the way we did it last year, it worked, let's do it again, maybe we can build on it a bit. And really, because, you know, media has been turned upside down, you know, with amateurs competing with professionals, we need to start looking at how millennials are finding out information, getting news, how they're sharing news, and start to adapt to that. So that's not to say that you get rid of media relations, but it's to say that you have to really integrate it with some of the new ways of doing things. I used to work for people, and the one thing that always bugged me was when you asked them a question, because you were interested in why something was done a certain way, and the answer was, because that's the way we've always done it. That's the worst thing in the world, because all it does is leads to complacency, and I think leads to organizations and people losing their eye on, you know, what they should be doing.
thing that you were talking about was mobile, and I saw it on your on the projection right at the end. And you said, think mobile, take this to go. How is this going to be either a challenge or a good thing for young professionals entering the industry now?
Well, I think it's both a challenge and a good thing to go mobile. A really interesting stat came out from Pew Research recently saying that 56% of American adults now own smartphones. So that is a lot, more people own smartphones in the US than not. I think Canada's probably a little behind, but I would say it's fairly close. And what we need to do, we need to think of things. There was a time, not that long ago, that the news release was the answer to every PR question, or pretty much every PR question. What do we do? Oh, let's put out a news release. And that format just doesn't lend itself to mobile communications at all, because it's, text heavy. There's no, I know there are social media news releases, and yes, they do have more images embedded in them, but it still tells a story in a very formalized way that doesn't really adapt to the new platform. So I think that'll be the challenge for millennials to figure out, okay, how do we make news or share news or help spread the news, on mobile platforms and on social media too.
So my last question is, one of the things that Young PR Pros wanted to do while we're here at the conference is answer this big question. And the big question is, we still kind of feel that sometimes the public relations and communications industry still has a little bit of a negative stereotype that kind of hangs around there. It's better, and it's gotten better in the last decade, but it's still there. So young professionals entering, the workforce tomorrow or today, how can they, or what can they do now that'll make our industry that much better in the future?
That's a great question. I'll be interested to hear what you have to say about it. So I'll ask you that same question after. What I think is, yes, PR has had a bad reputation, partially because some people were just not ethical. They lied. You see that with politicians. It's amazing to me that in this day of digital communications that politicians still get away with actually lying, or worse, not answering a question, deflecting everything because they don't want to tell the truth. So I think for young people, for millennials, make sure that your organization always tells the truth. Make sure that you're transparent, that you're there. You're the one who's telling the story on behalf of the organization. There is nothing wrong with that, because your reputation is critical, as is the reputation of the organization. And only by doing that and by being yourself, by being authentic, can you start to build trust. And hopefully that over time will help the profession. So what do you think?
So what I think, and basically asking all the professionals, because we're pretty much right near the end of the conference now, so I've gotten a lot of different answers, but I think the major thing that I learned is to do good PR. To walk in and not to fall into it's because we've done it like this. So I almost think that young professionals have to grow a little bit of thick skin, because it's not going to be an easy journey. We're going to have to say, no, I don't want to do this, or no, it's not ethical, and we're actually going to have to say, no, I can't do that because I don't believe that it's good for the profession. So, and that may mean we may lose our job, or we may have to leave an organization that we don't believe is doing it properly. But I think that that's the only way, is to grow the thick skin and to have that tough love to say, well, if you just fall into the cracks and say, okay, fine, well, this is how it's been done, this is what my boss wants me to do, I'll just overturn it, and if you just keep going that way, well, then our industry is never going to change. So growing some thick skin and saying, no, I'm not going to do that because it's not ethical, and then giving them a reason, and then saying, but I can't do this. And then you give them a solution to say, well, I'll write a better story, or how about we write it this way so that we're open and transparent, or, finding a solution to not just say no and walk away and wipe your hands of it, but saying no and then giving a proper solution on what the proper industry should do. So that's my answer.
That's good. Well, you should have that answer at the end of all the questions that you ask, so you can be the one who sums it up. It's great. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much for sitting down with me.
And keep doing a great job on Young PR Pros. It's really great. Congratulations.
Thank you.